Welcome to the official Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society's podcast. I'm your host, Barnaby, and you're listening to Whispers from the Dark. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Whispers from the Dark. I am your host, Barnaby, and recently I got the chance to go out to Utah to Phenomecon. I did not have a booth there. Caps did not set up. I was not a speaker. I just went out there as a customer and as a fan, and an amazing event, an amazing show. And if you get a chance to go out there, this was the second year that they did the event, and it's definitely worth taking the time if you're in the area or if you can get out there to go check it out. Phenomecon, amazing. All the guys from Skinwalker Ranch were out there. All the guys from Expedition Bigfoot were there this year. Stacy Brown Jr., Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Christopher Duncan, the remote viewer that was on Expedition Bigfoot, James Keenan, an amazing group of people. I had an awesome time. It was a several-day event. I got there on Wednesday and stayed all the way through Sunday when I got to hear Dr. Travis Taylor speak. And that, if you have not heard him speak, is well worth the trip right there. But while I was out there, I got a chance to meet with Ray Willis. And he offers a very unique opportunity. And what it is a psychedelic trip using just light and not any sort of illicit substance or anything. It is a white strobe light that can trigger the same neurological situation as if you were to take psychedelic hallucinogens or any of that stuff. So first part of our episode today is going to be my interview with him and going over a little bit about the procedure or the device that he uses and how it came to be and stuff, and then I actually go ahead and do the psychedelic trip, and after that I'll explain like what happened and how I felt afterwards. So that's the first part of today's show. And the second part of today's show, I got the opportunity to go to the UFO campground out in Vernal, Utah, just outside of Vernal. And it literally backs up to Skinwalker Ranch. And they offer UTV tours of the mesa, and you get the closest you can legally get to Skinwalker Ranch. And when they say that, that is not an exaggeration. Like, you are right on top of the mesa. You are right there. You can look down at Skinwalker Ranch and all the experiments, the homesteads, the helipad, all that is right there. And the cool thing is it's actually on their property. Well, actually, their neighbor's property. But they lease that property from their neighbors, and they do the tours out there and take you literally up on top of the mesa to look down at Skinwalker Ranch. Is very cool, very interesting. And if you're a fan of the show, if you're a fan of the experiments, if you just want to get out there and experience the mesa and stuff, I highly recommend the UTV tours and the UFO campground up there. And they also have campground, like I said. And we got to I got to go out there for a night and do a stakeout right next door to Skinwalker Ranch. So I got to set up all my equipment out there for caps, and there's a lot to unpack there, and a lot of cool stuff happened. And you're just gonna have to wait and see what I got, because sorry, that's the way it is. So I'm not going to talk about it yet. I'm not going to bring it up, but I did want to give you some excerpts from the tour, some of the history of the property around Skinwalker Ranch, some stories that were shared with us. The people that run the UFO campground right there are Stacy and his wife Jody, and Jody's the one that you're going to hear in the interview. She actually took me out in the morning on the UTV, and so it's a little rough interview again because we're literally riding on a UTV over the mesa above Skinwalker Ranch. It's a really cool experience. I hope you enjoyed the little excerpts that I got for you from this interview and the tour itself. I don't want to give too much away because I want you guys to go out there and check it out if you're in the area, if you get the chance. And it'll be part of the show that we're going to be putting out as well, because obviously we're going to put an episode out on Skinwalker Ranch because, I was there. So really cool stuff coming up, and happy Halloween. I mean, this episode will be coming out on October 31st. Happy Halloween is the greatest holiday of all. Hopefully you guys are out there checking out some really cool spooky stuff. Maybe you got the map in black and you're out checking out some really cool paranormal, weird, cryptid stuff today. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoy this episode. And without any further ado, we're going to start it off with Ray Willis.
So my name is Ray Willis. I am the principal individual behind Umbra Viventis Lucis, which is a project where we use very rare technology that uses LED light to stimulate one's brainwave patterns to enter the psychedelic state, and users go on closed-eye psychedelic vision quests in sacred spaces. So we are the stewards of some acreage adjacent to Skinwalker Ranch in the Uinta Basin, and we bring this rare sacred technology to that sacred space in the hopes of expanding our mind's bandwidth to clarify an otherwise opaque dialogue with the unseen world.
Cool. So can you kind of describe, we have a gentleman laying here. Can you kind of tell us, what's going on? What does this look like?
Sure. So the gentleman who is in a session now has white LED light flashing on and off over his face. The lights do not move. They do not have color. There's no digital projection. There's no aperture. They're static white LED lights. The lights themselves are probably 50 cents on the internet for the individual lights. They're flashing about 300 times a second, and they're very bright. The patterns the lights are flashing are speaking to his brainwave patterns, alpha, beta, delta, theta, gamma. And that communication is catalyzing his pineal gland, his vestigial third eye, to activate. The pineal gland naturally regulates dimethyltryptamine in the human body, DMT. We are seeing a man with white light flashing very fast over his face. What he is seeing is entirely different. The device is a key that unlocks a door in his mind that he normally doesn't have access to. Once he steps through that door, I cannot speak for what he's experiencing. However, it is a psychedelic experience, and the standard congruencies of that experience are a kaleidoscope of abstract colors, sacred geometry, fractal patterns, tunnels, things like that. Beyond that, the experiences people have really run the gamut. There are people who see their auras. There are people who believe that they interface with entities. There are people who have reported having hyper-realistic encounters with deceased loved ones or ancestors. Some people are brought from that psychedelic state to a hyper-realistic landscape, a place. Sometimes they know where that place is. It could be a memory. Other times, they have no idea what the place is that they're seeing or why they're being shown it, or who's showing it to them. We bring this technology to our acreage next to Skinwalker Ranch, and hope to better communicate with the energies and entities that live there through this methodology.
Do you do this anywhere else, or is that...
So I'm from New England, and we have brought this device and other devices to other sites. I have done sessions at the Tom Reed Memorial Bridge in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Tom Reed was a famous Berkshire's experiencer. I don't think we like the term abductee. I don't think Tom likes the term abductee. But in the 70s, he and his family had a powerful encounter on a bridge in Stockbridge, Mass. So we brought the device there. I have a studio in New Haven, Connecticut, where I run sessions, and we're out in the Uinta Basin a couple times a year. Our hope is to one day establish a spiritual retreat center where we bring this technology and other modalities like sensory deprivation, transcranial direct current stimulation, God helmets, things like that. Either half the year or all year round, to offer a facility where if you want to have these experiences and you want to interface with what we call the unseen world, we would offer the safest venue for someone to do that. This area is known for having difficulty with trespassers, trying to come near the ranch, which is very problematic. By doing this, we're offering a venue where you can have that experience. We have a hillside overlooking the entirety of Skinwalker, and we're trying to cut down on people trespassing. If they have a legal venue to experience this place, we're trying to help the community that way. Similarly, psychedelic drugs are illegal in the state of Utah and most of the United States, although that's changing. By using devices like this, psychedelic technology, we're able to offer people the psychedelic experience without breaking the law.
That's awesome. I am all for the whole Skinwalker Ranch and not breaking into it and stuff, and I think that's phenomenal. Before I forget, where can people get a hold of you?
Sure. Our website is umbraviventislucis.com.
Can you spell that?
Sure, yeah. It's UMbraViventisLucis.com. Umbra Viventis Lucis is Latin for the shadow of the living light. Our name is an homage to Hildegard von Bingen. Saint Hildegard, was an 11th century or 12th century Bavarian nun who had visions from God. She was constantly receiving downloads from the unseen world. She transmuted those downloads into incredible music, incredible art, prophecy. Saint Hildegard, was born the right week because another year or two, she might have been burned as a witch. But she was a saint, and she called her visions from God Umbra Viventis Lucis, which is Latin for the shadow of the living light. She's my patron, and this is a tribute to her.
That's awesome. So one other question then is, like a lot of people say that like the psychedelics and stuff like that, the chemicals in there can help like rewire the brain for like people with PTSD, and other like depression and stuff like that. So being that this is more of a brain stimulation and not the chemical, do you find the same similarities?
We do. We've worked with combat veterans with PTSD who have days after their session sent us powerfully moving thank you messages outlining what the experience has done for them. Similarly, we've had incredibly moving feedback from people who have had difficulty with sacred sites in this area, encounters with energies, hitchhikers, things like that, who feel that the work that we've done with them has been extremely beneficial. That is why we do this work.
Awesome.
How you doing, Paul? Yeah, was there anything further before you go into your session?
Why don't you just like go over kind of like what am I going to experience? Like what are we going to do now?
Okay, well, so you're going to lay down on this cot with your face underneath the device. The device is approximately 18 inches above your face. I'm going to give you some headphones. There's a volume control knob on the headphones. There's going to be some soft music that's going to be coming through the headphones during your experience. You're going to adjust the volume to your liking with your eyes closed. Upon getting the volume to an agreeable level, you're going to give me a thumbs up with your eyes closed. The music will stop and the session will begin. The session is going to be 15 minutes and will end with the music. 15 minutes is a good kind of threshold experience for the first time for this type of thing. This is an experience unlike anything else, even unlike the psychedelic drugs that it's similar to, because it's different, because it's light and not, metabolizing any kind of substance. generally, people come out of sessions either saying, wow, I feel so relaxed, or wow, that was really crazy, in a good way. In my personal practice, I'll usually do a session for 45 minutes to an hour. And in those sessions, you can go deeper, and it changes, and it's cumulative. The experience changes with use. It's very different for me than when it started. There are no quick fixes. People do psychedelic drugs to have an experience that we don't have the verbiage to describe. So let's see what you say on the way out.
Very cool. All right, so it kind of looks like an air mattress with a pillow, and then we have I know it's not, but it's like a strobe light on top for people, like basic generic, and that flashes different patterns.
It looks like a $20 Party City strobe light.
Yeah, but it doesn't stay with the same pattern, so we'll give this a try, and we'll be back in 15 minutes. Whispers from the Dark will be right back after this quick message from our sponsors.
Do you want to do a real paranormal investigation of a well-documented haunted location? Here's your chance. Join our team as we continue the investigations of the Gainer Tavern, currently Bean Stamper's Gentleman Club in Mackville, Wisconsin.
Originally built in 1877, the building was served as a general store, blacksmith shop, tavern, post office, dance hall, and bar. The building was originally built by Michael Gaynor and remained in the family for 5 generations before being sold to Bean Snappers in 1993. Throughout documented history, the building has been hit 4 times and burned twice, with 4 recorded deaths on the property.
Some of the most notable paranormal claims that we have documented are a male disembodied voice, a female disembodied voice, objects moving, doors opening and closing, lights turning on and off, knocking in response to questions, the sound of someone sitting down next to you on furniture, physical interactions including being touched, hairbrushed, and scratched, and other unexplained responses through our equipment, which include a REM pod, EMF meter, and an obelisk.
Bring your own equipment, or we have some you can use while you're here. Audio and video recording is encouraged. Here is your chance to investigate the paranormal. For the very first timers to the experienced professionals, we can walk you through, or you can take the lead. The time is yours. Ask your questions and get your answers. Limited space is available for tours, so make sure you purchase your tickets in advance at wisconsincaps.com. Click on the Gainers Tavern link under public events. Alright, so I'm out, and it was, you're right, there's no words. There's no words of what it's like. So when I first laid down, the lights came on, and it never was white. Well, let me preface that. It never was like looking into a strobe light, because I used to own a haunted house, and I've looked into a lot of strobe lights on purpose or accident. But it wasn't like that. When I first started, I got super dizzy, like spinning. Like when you're lightheaded and you're kind of like the whole room is kind of spinning, and it kind of made me sick at first. And I'm like, nope, we're gonna do this. I don't care what's gonna happen. We're gonna finish this. And once that kind of went away, it took like maybe 30 seconds or so when my body started calming down. And then I got like a view of like newspaper clippings. Don't know what that's about. That lasted for a little while, and then it just totally went into this, like you said, like geometric pattern. And it was all gray and reds to begin with. And that lasted through the whole end. There was no music?
There probably wasn't music for the last minute and a half or so.
Okay,
that
yeah.
About right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed like at the end of it there was like no music. So about halfway through like the first song or whatever we'll say, it was just this gray and red pattern. And then I saw like a green field or like a meadow for a little bit. And then it moved on to, I think it was more like blue and red at that point. And I kind of like went down this like tunnel, and then it was like a water slide kind of is how I describe it. And I kind of turned around and I could look back up at it, the tunnel, and then that went away, and then it went back to more geometric patterns. And then towards the end of the last song, everything just went every color, like all different geometrics. It was aside from the grass, the newspaper clippings in the beginning, the grass meadowy field, whatever that was, and then I saw a girl carrying a dog. She just kind of like walked through my field of vision, like a little like schnauzer, hairy lap dog kind of thing. I don't know who she was, but
I can assure you there was no girl with a dog anywhere near you during your session.
I believe it, but yeah, it was just like passing. Like I just had this like vision of that. So yeah, that's where it went. And I kind of thought, like, at first I breathing, level breathing and stuff to see, okay, relax, meditation kind of state. Mm-hmm. And I did that for the entire first song. Just let's see what happened. So then I'm very scientific. So I wanted to see, okay, well, maybe this is because I'm staring at a light. So I started moving my eyes around to see if the pattern would change. It didn't. It didn't have any effect on that. And the reason I bring that up is to, validate, like, it's not an eye reaction that's happening. Because if it was, the geometric patterns of the light and stuff would change with my eye movement and stuff. And I did not have that experience. So then I thought, okay, well, maybe I can try and control it. And like, okay, I want to have this experience. I want to have a Bigfoot experience. I want to commune with these creatures. So I started thinking about that, and nothing changed. And then I thought, okay, well, how about like a UAP, extraterrestrial interdimensional experience? And then I kind of see, but then I'm thinking it, so I don't know. But then it kind of seemed like these little like typical UFO craft, little saucer, would like appear in the middle kind of circle and then shoot off down that tunnel, off to the side. But again, it's very geometric, and the saucer and the lights of a saucer like around the edge are very geometric as well. So is it, just still looking at the same patterns and, interpreting it how I want, and it's not extraterrestrial or whatever, it's just seeing the same dimensions and stuff. But I think that's all I got from my experience. So what do you think?
Well, so, it's a key aspect of this project is for me not to interpret your experience for you. I have questions. I'm curious with the newsprint if you were able to, or if you had wanted to, would you have been able to read any of the language or characters on that?
It was very peripheral. It was like if you made like a collage, and on the outside of your collage, whatever was in the middle, I couldn't focus on that. I couldn't focus on anything really, I guess, but you could see like dark, like bold at the top with then like white lettering in the dark, and then like white lettering of text underneath it. And they were like clippets, like not a montage, what is it? A collage, kind of splattered around the outside edge, like a picture frame of whatever was in the middle of this. I was too busy trying to mentally like establish what I was seeing to read it and get anything like what it said.
Gotcha. Letters, words, language, people do report seeing. I've seen it. Sometimes it's in our alphabet, the characters we recognize. Other times it is in, I don't want to use the term alien because that's projecting something, but the true definition of alien, it is not ours. It's alien to me.
Chinese. I don't speak Chinese.
Which is alien, exactly.
Correct,
yeah. But also not Chinese characters.
Right.
Sometimes when they are in our alphabet, people report that they're able to read certain things. Other times the experience is like kind of some sort of what you described as so fast, and transmuting as it's going that they're not able to capture. I find that to be a very fascinating aspect to the experience. Very recently, I had one of my very close friends who has been going through personal traumatic experiences, got written language messaging, telling him to be a better person. I'll say that because it was very personal.
Thankfully, that wasn't my case.
Well, but thankfully for his, it was. Because he was getting the message that he needed, and I think that's a big part of it. There is some degree of agency I think people can have in the experience. I think when you demand of the experience certain things, you're probably not going to get what you're demanding. When you're open and you ask nicely, maybe, and you're just open to receiving, I think that's really where the value is, and where the sweetest fruit hangs.
Well, like I said, I went in and I did the whole first music whatever segment of it, and I just let it happen. And then I'm like, all right, we're gonna kind of experiment with this, because
and nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what we do.
Sure.
I want to experience it. I'm like, all right, the first segment of music's done. All right, we're gonna start another one. All right, we're gonna start playing with this. And like I said, I mean, I know for a fact we're sitting here watching the next person on the table there, and it's white. But I never saw. A little bit at the end, when all the color was going, there was a lot of white in there. But the whole beginning was like gray and black. Or gray and red, actually. The very beginning was gray and white. Gray and black. With the newsprint and stuff. But then after that became red and gray. Up until, later on.
Well, it sounded like you had a beneficial experience.
It was very, very enlightening, undescribable. We'll go with that. So.
Great. Well, I recommend maybe sitting with the experience, through the day, maybe sleeping on it, and then maybe recording some of your reflections tomorrow, and see how they've changed, or if your day has changed after your light session.
Definitely, I will do that. Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Take care.
You too.
I'm the next. She said.
Whispers from the Dark will be right back after this quick message from our sponsors.
If you're a fan of the paranormal world, then you'll love WLTK-DB Talk Radio. Talk shows bringing you the latest on everything paranormal, cryptozoological, metaphysical, true crime, psychic readings, and more. The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.
Hey guys, I just want to preface this next interview with a clip from Dr. Travis Taylor from Phenomecon, and I think it's very important to point this out and share this with you. Travis made a very good point here that, don't sneak onto Skinwalker Ranch. A lot of people try and get out there and sneak onto these properties. Well, in this episode, I am showing you 2 ways that you can legally go out and look at Skinwalker Ranch. Ray Willis has the property that faces the mesa itself. I didn't get a chance to go check it out, but they do offer the opportunity to go out there and visit that as well. Go to their website, check that out. And the UFO campground is right on the other side of the mesa, takes you directly onto the mesa. If you want to go out and check out Skinwalker Ranch, do it legally, do it safely, go through the proper channels, do not sneak onto the ranch. And to emphasize that point here, I just wanted to share this brief clip from the Skinwalker Ranch panel. They asked the whole panel what was the most troubling, most disturbing thing that they have experienced on the ranch, and this was Dr. Travis Taylor's answer.
Okay, that's extremely troubling to me. And it will be serious for just a second, and it's going to be painful for you guys to hear it, or it's going to be, I'm going to probably get a little angry and emotional. But I live on the ranch 3 months out of the year, and it's literally my home for 3 months out of the year. Eric lives on the ranch pretty much all the time.
That's only true this last year.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, he's there a lot. He's there more than I am. And Tom and Candace live there. And these guys are often on the ranch. So it's like our home. Now let me ask you guys, if someone said they were going to sneak into your home and hang out at your home, that would freak you out and upset you a little bit. And if somebody told me they were going to sneak into my home, and we've had people post online that they think we're reptilians or something, and they're going to go kill the reptilians and things like that, you better damn believe that I will protect my home with deadly force. And someone who's going to organize a group of people to sneak onto the ranch or to sneak into our home, I'll tell you right now, we can have a conversation about that in private out back after this conversation's over, after this panel's over. Right? Don't do it. Now, that's over.
All right, guys, my next guest on Whispers from the Dark is actually going to be some excerpts from the UTV Tour from the UFO Campground right next to Skinwalker Ranch. So this is Jody. She took me out up on the mesa, and so we're going to get in the UTV and head on out.
Some of what we do I take seriously.
Understandable.
But not much. Every tour is different based off the person, because there's some people that believe TV 110%, and other people that want to make their own decisions, I guess. So I'm just the redneck Uber. I am not an expert in anything. We just thought it would be great fun to
Spy on the neighbors.
take people out in a side-by-side, and we love the outdoors.
Yeah.
I mean, we camp, we fish, we hunt. So the more families that get away from the television and get out and just take a deep breath and look up. So my husband was born and raised here, his parents and grandparents. So this is literally just home to us. This is the backyard that he grew up in. He was never scared, but he was also busy hunting coyotes and rabbits and not looking up.
That worked out pretty well.
So as we're coming out this direction, all of this mesa is owned by the Hickens family.
Okay.
Old man Hickens, Donnie Hickens used to run sheep out here. Because, I mean, really, it's about all that grows is sagebrush. And cattle they did for a couple of years, but they have so much land in this area that's good land that they don't use this out here. But they also are pretty savvy business people. They don't need to sell. So our family and their family have been friends for generations. So that's how I was able to wiggle my way in to do tours out here. For years we've had people trespassing.
Huh.
So this kind of benefits them. Not only does the landowners make a profit off of all these tours, but we're also looking for trespassers. We're picking up the rear rock. When we built these trails, I picked up so many beer cans. Holy crap. Because every kid that went to Union High School has been on this ranch. It's what we do. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying, most redneck kids, you tell them don't go there.
Yeah, that's exactly where they're going to go.
But Stace used to just get out of school, even like, elementary school, and grab a BB gun or a 22, and out he came. His dad and his uncles, like the grandma and grandpa lived up by the reservoir, up on top, and his dad and uncle used to ride their horses down to the Myers every summer to help put hay in. The only maybe odd thing about that time frame that our side of the family can remember is Edith would always call them in for supper, feed them, and they had to be back up and across the flats before dark. That's not normal when you're farming. When you're farming, you farm till you have no daylight.
So did you own this property back when, I can't think of it, pre-Bigelow?
Yes.
Okay.
But that property down there.
Right. This
No,
is
This
neighbors.
has been in the Hickens family
here.
Since it was here.
Since it was a piece of land, yeah.
Since it was God created Earth. No, not that far back. Tribal wise, they'll talk more about the shadow people than they do Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay.
So that is probably one of the main things that kind of freaked me out, and it didn't until we had the paranormal files come out and they filmed out here. It was not okay watching that. I don't like the little black things crawling out from under rocks and sagebrush. And I don't know exactly what you guys do.
We do everything.
Everything. So when Stacy was a kid, he kind of vaguely, sort of remembers like seeing like black shadowy some things that were about the size of my dog. But his dad would always say you're imagining things. Because that's what we tell our kids. Well, then when we started doing this, so I'm scared of the dark, and I do not watch scary movies. Not my cup of tea. But I love the outdoors. So during the day, I'm fine out here. Nighttime is a whole different ballgame. It has a creepy vibe. But creepy vibe for me is anywhere that's dark. Doesn't matter if it's downtown San Diego or out, you know. I don't like nighttime. So we start the campground, and we talk to a lot of our friends that are tribal, and you know, they're telling us about these shadow people. They've got red eyes. They'll come down out of the rocks into this, you know, their subdivision over there on the other side of the ranch. And J-Mo will just tell them, go away, you're not wanted here. And they turn around and they go back up into the hills. Anna will do her cleansing, like her sage, you know, that type of thing. And they're just used to it. Janice, here we go. One of my neighbors this direction. She'll tell you right where the portals are. She'll tell you that she sees, you know, she'll text me at 2 a.m. There's an orb above your house. I'm like, fantastic. I'm sleeping. You know, and this has been going on for years with Janice. Okay. Well, our tribal friends have told us, because we've asked it, you know, like I'm up here 2, 3, 4 times a day. Why don't I have any issues? And they're like, well, you're local. You're not native. The curse, the way most of our friends look at it, is the curse was from the Navajo people onto the Ute people, not the land. And so we're local, and plus I'm not out here poking it. I'm not out here stirring it up with any intent.
Poking the hornet's nest.
Yeah, okay, Travis. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're a UFO?
Every time. Well, I assume that's Skinwalker because they have 50 cameras aimed everywhere down there.
Because you don't think all the neighbors have surveillance towers and 360 cameras?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope, this is the ranch. So,
It's not that big.
well, it's only 512 acres. It's just TV makes it look.
Yeah, when they say, oh, we're going to go out over here, it seems like they're driving, you know, like a lot farther.
No, not so much. Have you watched all 3 seasons?
Yep.
Okay, so season 3, they brought a dozer in. It sat right here down in the bottom of the field all last summer. So the fun part for us, fun and frustrating, is we see them doing stuff, but we're like everybody else. We got to wait till the season comes out to see
what the heck they did.
what they were doing. Myers, as far as anybody locally or on, you know, like our side of the family, nobody remembers anything with them. They've came out now. There's certain people. One of them has dementia. He's an older gentleman. But there's a few people that have tried to say that Myers had all these things happen to him. And granted, I wasn't there, but none of the locals remember the Myers having any issues. My cousin-in-law, Bobby, was Edith's home health care nurse the last couple years of her life. He says absolutely there were no locks on her cupboards. There were none of that. But you flip that, and we're an LDS community. These are people that lived through the Depression. They didn't trust the government. If something did happen to them, would they have said?
Not to the government, no.
Or to their church leaders?
Yeah.
I don't know. So the problem with all the stories from this ranch has became famous So therefore the stories get bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of those people are deceased now. So I like how this team goes about it in the scientific versus just this one time I heard somebody say that my neighbor did this, and their cousin twice removed. Because there's no way to prove any of that. All those people are, none of them are with us anymore. So you have the Myers down here.
I'm blanking. What is the name of the ones that had the ranch and sold it to?
Bigelow?
Yeah.
Sherman's.
That's it.
So
the whole time I've been trying to think of that name because you haven't said it, and I'm like,
but we're not to that point yet.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
So Myers was down here. Both of them passed away, no children. So the ranch goes to Garth Myers and his sister. Garth sells it to the Shermans. In the book, it says the Shermans came from New Mexico. They lived in Roosevelt. Gwen worked at the bank forever. So you do have to take it with a grain of salt because, Shermans come down here. They're on the ranch, year and a half, and then all hell breaks loose. They've got everything and anything happens to this poor family. But I'm going to go with, I believe, 80% of it because there's so many locals that witnessed, Gwen's co-workers at the bank, the neighbors down here. And then it wasn't just here. This was UFO Alley. This whole area was known for UFOs, basically. The ranch, Skinwalker Ranch, it was UFO Ranch when my husband was in high school. They didn't start calling it Skinwalker Ranch until the first book. Right up at the top in these trees on top of the mesa, there's a water tower.
Yep.
So my husband's grandparents homesteaded up there, off to the left, and their old white stucco house is still there, and it looks just pretty much like these. There's a lot of those old houses that are still around this area, and they do look haunted and creepy, and so like our family had land this side, but when you're up there, this just looks like flat. So like my father-in-law and his brothers, they'd ride their horses down across the flats. It wasn't called the Mesa until the book. Cattle mutilations, I go with like probably 90% believable. And that isn't based on the book or the TV show or anything happening now. Pete picked up was the sheriff, and his son Jake still has the original photos. And my husband's Aunt Billy was the federal brand inspector at the time, which she couldn't explain it. And so there was cattle mutilations here, there was ones up north of here, and yet again, Google hadn't Googled the cattle mutilation until we started doing these tours, and they're all over the place. It's not just here.
So when did that start?
When the Shermans were on the ranch. So 82.
Sounds about right.
92. That's only off by 10 years.
So when you were talking about so on the last season they're putting smoke into the mountain and stuff. Okay, so they're trying to burrow into that thing, which I thought was stupid because anyway, why, now this is like, is it their property or not? Why can't they just come in with like a hook, like a crane, and pick up the boulders and unbury that hole that's supposedly there? Is that not their property? Is that, because now knowing what I know now, it's like, well, maybe that ain't their.
So they could do it all the way across here. And to me, it would not affect the mesa.
Right.
Because they would just be.
Well, it's a cave-in anyway. It's not like they're digging. They're literally just unstacking a rock slide. Now, I'm going to ask Travis that tomorrow, but like, I just don't understand. Why are we spending millions of dollars to drill into this hole that you didn't get anywhere
Say,
with.
hey, Jody's up on top, and she said,
She said you're all a bunch of idiots.
she said that we can bring heavy equipment in. And, yeah.
I don't know what that would be, but like, you know, like they have like in a scrapyard and stuff. They got the big claw that comes out and grabs stuff.
Yeah, with a crane.
Yeah, just do that and pick up each. You know, you don't have to dig. You don't have to do that. Yeah, it would take time. But how long did you spend 2 days digging that hole, boring a 3-inch hole into the side of this?
You know, they could bring in a great big excavator, like a trapo. It's got the claws, and just move
unstack it
from rock.
I don't know. That was my impression when I watched it. I was like, if you think there's a cave entrance there, dig it out. Like, as you know, if you own the property, like, I mean, I don't know.
They could definitely move the rock on that side, because it's not going to do anything to the stability of the Hickens property by just taking those rocks off the outside edge of the mesa. I mean, they could dig it all they want.
I only took the 90-minute tour of the mesa, and it was phenomenal. If you guys get a chance to go out there, check it out, definitely. They also offer a longer tour that involves some walking out to the circle where there's the Native American petroglyphs and stuff like that out there as well. It's called the Circle of Life Tour. If you guys have the time, I definitely recommend going and checking that out as well. Camp out there as well. These guys, when I was there, it was $40 for an overnight camp out of their campground. And it's a primitive campground. There's no electrical hookups or anything like that. But it is definitely worth the time, and if you're interested, it gives you an amazing view of the night sky over Skinwalker Ranch, right on the backside of the mesa. You're literally looking out across Skinwalker Ranch from the backside of it. You cannot get any closer without trespassing. So if you guys get out in this area, UFO Valley Campground and UTV Tours, they opened up this year actually, and phenomenal place, phenomenal time. Go check it out, guys. That is our show for this week. There's more to this episode. There's more to the tour and the investigation and stuff, but you guys are going to have to wait for that. This is just a little teaser of some of the stuff that we've been working on, and I wanted to get that out and give them guys a shout out as well, because they were very hospitable, very welcoming to me, and great time, great people. So Jody and Stacy, thanks for having me out there again. And until next time, guys, I'm Barnaby. We'll see you out there. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Whispers from the Dark. To find out more about cryptids, anomalies, and the Paranormal Society, visit us at our website at wisconsincaps.com. That's wisconsincaps.com. There you can find links to all of our social media: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and our Patreon. You will see links to our online store as well, where you can get t-shirts, DVDs, and more. If you click on the public events page, you can find out where you can meet us in person and all the public events we have coming up. If you enjoy our podcast or our YouTube shows, please consider becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/WisconsinCaps. There you can find behind-the-scenes pictures and videos from all of our media, as well as bonus footage and evidence that we have collected. If you have encountered something you can't explain, we want to hear from you. Visit our website and click on Submit a Report on our main screen. You can choose to leave your contact information or simply remain anonymous. You can also reach us via email at wisconsincaps@gmail.com. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please contact us on our Whispers from the Dark podcast page on Facebook, or send us an email at wisconsincaps.com. Remember to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen or watch or find us.